Kishu Krishnam, Kishu Kukit, Kishu Quiet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Kansuke Tashmiat, coming to you from the unceded Coast Salish territories of the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam people. And it is my very first episode of this season in 2023. And I would like to actually talk on a subject that has to do with the new year. And as you know, I do listen to motivational type people myself. I listen to things that have helped me become the person I am today. And it's accumulation of different people, different eras, different mentalities. They come from different communities, different races, different walks of life. And I feel like, some people, they just get so asphyxiated with certain things, which keeps them stuck. And they'll see a certain person and they'll judge them by their appearance. And that doesn't allow you to grow. And, now it being a new year, a new slate, a new chapter of your life, it's going to be the exact same thing as it was last year, if you don't decide to change, and that's okay. If you were happy and life was great to you in 2022 and you don't really feel like you need to pursue something new in your life, then that's okay. And there are people like that out there in the world who are happy where they're at in life. But if you feel like you are meant for more, like you have a bigger purpose in life, or that you just want a new exciting year, then this podcast episode might be just what you're looking for. And by changing your life, people will call them, but let's just talk about health for a second, because it's the new year, new me thing, and the gym has been packed lately. It's been busy. And I see people all the time talking about it. Oh, I'm going on a diet. I'm doing this. I'm going on a diet. I have to work out. I have to, when you call it a diet, you are already setting yourself up for failure. That's when people they're like, oh, I'm pessimistic, or you're pessimistic or you're an optimist person. You're looking at the positive or the negatives. And when you look at something like a diet, you're looking at all the things that you have to quote unquote give up, not looking at the positive things about it, not looking at all the things you're going to gain from that lifestyle change, from that change in your life. And when I see people call it a diet all the time, like when I see people call it a diet, I will comment on that and say you need to change the way you're looking at that, because right now you're looking at what you have to give up. You're looking at the negative end of it. You're giving it a dreadful aspect, and in the long run, that isn't sustainable. That's the ultimate thing with health, right? Everyone wants to look better and feel better, and with the whole microwave effect, with the whole instant gratification era we're in, because everything is just a click away, or it's a day away, like with Amazon or things like that. People don't look at longevity. They don't look down the road, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. They just look at right now. And you need to start changing that perspective. Okay, well, if I change my lifestyle habits, and let's say I just start drinking more water throughout my day. I start consuming more water, and I'm consuming less drinks that have sugar in them, that have refined sugar in them, let's say. And I'm just drinking more water throughout the day. You're ultimately going to start feeling better because you're hydrated more. You're going to have more energy. You're going to use the washroom more, which means you're constantly flushing out toxins of your body. Or let's say you start going for a half an hour walk every day, or every other day. You're gonna be out in nature more. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have more energy throughout you, because ultimately nature gives you energy. It's just known to give you energy because it has energy. That's why it gives you energy. But there's more depth into why nature makes you feel alive. But if you actually feel depressed or disconnected, that's one thing I highly recommend you do. You should just get out in nature for half an hour to an hour, and just look at how you feel after that. This you have to start subtly changing things in your life to create a better future, and as Jim Rohn says it, he goes into this big meeting with these head corporation people that are in these multi-million dollar companies, and that speech he talks about, like, it just really hit me when he says, when they're like, okay, Jim, you're a very wise and well-respected man. You know the market, you know what's going on, you have good connections, you know people. What is the new year going to look like? And he's like, well, great news, I know, I have the connections, I know the people. And the new year is going to look exactly like your last year if you don't change your daily habits, if you don't change your lifestyle. And that's the way it is. If you look back on your life, think about the last couple of years where there was no growth. You were kind of being stagnant. You were kind of just doing the same things throughout the day, and the reason why I like to compare things with the gym and health and fitness is because you can actually see true growth in the gym if you stay consistent. Like before, I used to struggle. I couldn't even pull 405. I couldn't deadlift 405 pounds. But I stayed consistent in the gym, and I kept working out, and I kept strengthening my body and eating right and taking care of my mind and hydrating myself. And eventually I was able to pull 405 pounds. And it wasn't easy, but it was worth it, because I had a goal in mind that I wanted to be able to deadlift 405 pounds. Why? Just because I wanted to. I thought 4 plates is a big number, and it is. Ultimately any number is actually a big number. There isn't really no set limit on what a big number is. 300 pounds could be a big number to someone. 300 pounds was a big number to me at one time. But that's what my goal was, and that's how you can actually see true growth in your life, is through the gym and through fitness and things like that. Even with where I was at last year compared to this year, mentally wise, I'm just in a new state of mind. I'm actually just loving every day, even though the last few days have kind of been the same thing, but they're different because I'm still going to the gym, I'm still working out, I'm still eating healthy, I'm still learning, I'm still listening to audiobooks. I'm not reading right now, but I'm still listening to audiobooks, I'm still learning, I'm still expanding my mind. And sometimes these things are harder to see if you don't take time to reflect on your growth. That's one thing with everything else in my life. It's harder to see that growth in. But when I actually take the time to reflect, I know that 2023 is going to be a lot different than 2022. There's going to be a lot more growth because I'm choosing to push myself to learn more, to do more things, to keep consistent with my content creating, to keep consistent with learning something new once a day. I'm still on the cold showers. I'm still stretching every morning. I'm still meditating every morning. Even my meditation, it's nowhere near where I want it to be. But I can't get to where I want it to be if I don't consistently work on it. There's some days I'll lay down on my mat and my mind just races the whole time. I might have 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds throughout that whole 10 minutes of where I'm actually concentrating on my breath. But you know what? I don't beat myself up on that. I just understand that that's just the way my mind is today, and I come back at it the next day, and then the next day, and the next day, and then the next day. That's I'm looking at the things that I'm getting from it. And one thing I'm getting from meditating almost every day is that mindfulness on being more present and not worrying about the future or not holding on to the past. Some things will actually happen in my life and I'll forget about it. I just let it go so quick that I forget about it, and someone will bring it up and be like, what? Oh yeah, that happened, and I've already forgotten about it because I'm more mindful and I'm okay with it. And I truly understand that everything is happening for the right reasons because I choose to see it that way, and if you choose not to see it that way, then you're right as well. It's the way you want to see the world, and that's the way you want to view the world. But the way I want to view the world is that everything that happens in my life is a chance to grow, is a chance to learn, is a chance to break cycles and create new things. And this book recently I've been listening to by Dr. Gabor Mate. It's a really long book, That's why I chose to listen to the audiobook. It's called The Myth of Normal. And there has been so much growth within just this one book. At looking at my own life and realizing things, And there was one thing that really stuck with me in this book, or from this book. And he talks about, people are born with genetics, but their upbringing will either turn things on or keep them turned off. And that's the same thing he talks about cancer. He talks about there are more people that have cancer cells in them. More people are born with cancer cells. But how they were brought up and how their atmosphere today is either going to turn those cancer cells on or keep them off. And that's the way I look at it now. Like, when people ask me, like, oh, why are you such a health freak, and why are you, this and that, and I'm like, hey, listen, I've had cancer before. So ultimately, there are cancer genes in me. And if I don't eat healthy, I'm not mindful, I try to reduce as much stress in my life as I can, mental stress. Physical stress is different through gym, but mental stress, like things I can control, like my mind and my emotions, then I can ultimately keep those genetics turned off. And that's when I started to think about, when I have children, that's one thing that really scared me with having children, is knowing that there are PTSD genetics within me. There is that intergenerational trauma still within my genetics from residential schools. And I was afraid to, have kids because I didn't want to pass that on to them. But when I heard that, about that situation, how Dr. Gabor Mate talks about that, I can control and help ultimately my kids not having those genetics turn on by working on myself, by creating that healthy atmosphere. So when they are born, they don't ever have to witness those things and have to go through those things. So those switches will stay turned off. And then ultimately, those genetics will be reborn into something healthier and new, where they'll never know the pain that I endured from my parents and grandparents. So that's the way I'm looking at 2023, is that it's going to be different. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be filled with, growth. And that's the same thing for you as well. If you're ready to grow, if you want to grow, you don't have to. That's the thing with the amazing thing with life. Some people just are happy and content where they're at. And if you're unhappy and you're content where you're at in life, then you've already won. You're successful. That's being happy is success in itself. If you wake up and you have a beam, a smile, you have gratitude in your heart, you're doing what you love, you're successful. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter about where you live, what you drive, if you don't drive. All these things don't make success. And that's where people screw up a lot in life. They think they have to be so much, they have to have so much money in that account. They have to be, so much this, so much that. When in reality, it's waking up and being happy. And recently I've been working on that, just having gratitude throughout the day. And I still, I kind of steered away from it for a little bit. But now that I'm back on it, I'm like, man, I really miss this. This is such a great feeling to be able just to sit there and start smiling for no reason, because you're just content and you're just happy with life, and you understand that you're exactly where you need to be right now in this moment, and you're only comparing yourself to you. That's one of the most amazingest feelings you can ever feel. And I hope that you can feel that in 2023. So this podcast, this episode is more of just like a reflection. I want you to take a little bit of time to reflect on 2022 and to see if you did everything that you set out to do. One thing I did set out to do in 2022 that I still haven't accomplished yet, and it will happen one day. And it's such a silly little thing to some people, but to me, it's a goal I have in mind. And that is to be verified on Instagram. And the reason why, I would like that is because there are certain people and there are certain things and companies and things like that, and the algorithm helps you out a little bit more if you have that verification. And that's the reason why I want to be verified, is so I can help spread my message to more people, to inspire other people on this earth. And it'll happen when it's meant to. I'm working towards getting it done this year, and if not, there's 2024. But I'll just keep consistent with what I'm doing, keep learning, growing, and 2023 is going to be a phenomenal year. So comment below, what is one goal, doesn't matter what it is, that you want to happen in 2023 for you. And mine is, being verified on Instagram. That's mine, and that's one of my goals for this year. And another goal I'll give out for 2023 is I want to be able to squat 4 plates just once. Doesn't matter, just that's going to be one of my goals I'm going to work towards this year, is being able to squat 4 plates. That's a pretty decent achievable goal for me. I got all year. I got another 12 months to reach that. It's a long time. 12 months is a long time. So comment below on one thing you want to happen, one thing you want to happen to you in 2023. And I will see you next week. Sukani for tuning in. Take care, all my wealthy warriors. And remember, everything always happens for the right reasons. See you next Wednesday.